Debut Hulk Hogan. Meet Terry Bollea, a 6'7" monster with a mustache, blue tights, red boots, and jacked physique. He began wrestling in the late 70s, first in the Florida territory, then Japan, and eventually in the WWF as Hulk Hogan. He didn't have entrance music, he didn't have catchphrases, but what he did have was presence. He towered over his opponents and looked like a superhero before the idea even existed in wrestling. In Japan, he slammed Andre the Giant clean, years before WrestleMania 3. And in the WWF, he was already building a loyal fan base just by walking to the ring. He wasn't the guy yet, but you could already feel the crowd gravitating towards him. Thunderlips Hogan. Then came Hollywood. But not the black and white kind. In 1982, Hogan landed a role in Rocky III as Thunderlips, the ultimate male. And suddenly, the wrestling world wasn't big enough to contain him. He wore a red cape, a white hat, towered over Sylvester Stallone, and delivered a performance that was pure wrestling theater, in a boxing movie. And even though this wasn't an official wrestling persona, it became one. He started bringing that Thunderlips energy into the ring. The strut, the cockiness, the awareness that everything was a show. Vince McMahon Sr. wasn't a fan, but Vince Jr. saw something else. A larger-than-life superhero who could turn wrestling into mainstream entertainment. This wasn't a long chapter, but it changed everything. The Hulkamania Era. And then it happened. Hulkamania ran wild. The look, iconic. The red and yellow. The headband. And of course, the mustache. His entrance, classic. Real American hits. Crowd explodes. He walks out, rips the shirt, cups the ear, and the arena becomes unglued. This was the Hulk Hogan everybody remembers. He told kids to say their prayers and eat their vitamins. He promised to take on every villain with the power of the Hulkamaniacs behind him. And he delivered. 4 WWF championships. 7 straight WrestleMania main events. He feuded with Roddy Piper, Andre the Giant, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, and just about every major name of the 1980s. WrestleMania 3? 93,000 people in the Pontiac Silverdome. Hogan versus Andre. A body slam, a leg drop, and a legacy made. This wasn't just another wrestler. He was the face of an entire industry, and the man who turned wrestling from a niche sideshow into must-see pop culture. Hollywood Hogan. Then came the greatest heel turn in wrestling history. After years of red and yellow, of vitamins and virtue, Hogan flipped the script. He came to WCW in 1994 still as the Hogan of old. But at Bash at the Beach 1996, he walked out, dropped a leg on Randy Savage, and dropped a bombshell on the industry. He aligned himself with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to form the NWO. Gone were the bright colors. Now it was black bandanas, black tights, black shades, and a jet black beard to match. He walked to the ring slow, confident. With Jimi Hendrix's guitar riff blaring, he spray-painted the world title. He cut venomous promos dripping with arrogance. And it worked. He became WCW's biggest star. Again. Only this time, he didn't need the cheers. He held the WCW World title 6 times in this era. Battled Sting in one of the most hyped matches of the decade. Fought Goldberg, Lex Luger, Diamond Dallas Page. And was the centerpiece of Nitro's dominance over WWE. Hollywood Hogan didn't just resurrect his career. He helped WCW nearly kill the WWF. 2000's WWE return. In 2002, Hulk Hogan walked back into WWE, and the roof blew off. WrestleMania 18. Hogan versus The Rock. The crowd flipped, booed Rock, cheered Hogan. It was a passing of the torch match, and the fans refused to let go of the torch. He came back full-time for a brief run. Same gear, same music, same shirt rips and ear cups. But now he was older and a bit slower. Didn't matter. The fans treated him like a legend. He battled Triple H for the undisputed title and won. Feuded with Shawn Michaels in a summer blockbuster. Even clashed with a young Randy Orton at SummerSlam. This was Legacy Hogan, not at his peak physically, but unmatched in presence. In an era built on ruthless aggression, Hogan proved nostalgia could still main event. Mr. America. In between all of that, things got a bit weird. After being fired by Vince McMahon in storyline, Hogan re-emerged as someone completely different. He wore a red, white, and blue mask, a stars and stripes bodysuit. He was now Mr. America, even though he was very clearly still Hulk Hogan. He came to the ring to real American, talked like Hogan, moved like Hogan, but insisted he was someone else entirely. The whole thing was a kayfabe rib on Vince. It was short-lived. Just a handful of SmackDown appearances, a lie detector test, and some hilarious promos. But it was memorable. It showed he could laugh at himself, he could play the parody, and still get one of the biggest pops of the night. Mr. America was never meant to last. But somehow, it still fits perfectly in the legacy. TNA Hulk Hogan. By the end of the 2000s, Hogan wasn't just a wrestler, he was a brand. And in 2010, that brand signed with TNA Wrestling. But this wasn't the Hogan fans remembered. He wore jeans, TNA merch, shades indoors. He looked less like a world champion, and more like a creative director on vacation. He came in as an executive, an authority figure, and immediately made changes. The six-sided ring, gone. The show's format, overhauled. He teamed with Eric Bischoff to recreate the Monday Night Wars, moving Impact to Monday nights to go head-to-head with Raw. It bombed. Then came Immortal, Hogan's heel faction. He feuded with Sting again, clashed with Dixie Carter on screen, and even inserted himself into Bound for Glory storylines. There were glimmers of gold, like the moment he turned babyface again to help put over young stars. But for the most part, it was a mess. TNA Hogan was divisive. He brought attention to the product. But he also brought backstage politics, bloated contracts, and a creative identity crisis. In the end, he walked away. And so did a lot of the fans. Hall of Fame Hogan. In the final act of his career, Hogan returned home. But this time, not to wrestle. He came back as a legend. He hosted WrestleManias, reunited the NWO, and popped up for feel-good nostalgia segments. Sometimes in the classic gear, other times in a suit, smiling and saluting the crowd. This version of Hogan didn't win titles or headline pay-per-views, but he still played a role. He represented an era that helped shape what wrestling became and is today. Please like the video if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.